Hello, this is my placement report. I'm Angelina Garry, and today I'll be focusing on reflecting on my placement experience, focusing on the evolution of the program, communication with children and families, the pedagogical approaches that guided my practice, and how documentation informed decision-making throughout the learning process. Throughout this presentation, I'll also draw on the work of Anne Pilo, Susan Stacey, Deb Curtis, Arthur Beecher and Docker, and Carlson and Clark to demonstrate how theory connected with my practice. For this service, they were located within the Greenwood area and had 2 kindy rooms, a pre-kindy room and a kindergarten room. The kindergarten room would have 15 to 20 students per day and 2 staff, 1 teacher and 1 educator. Within this classroom, they had a range of students from very diverse needs and backgrounds and could face challenges and disabilities, such as ASD, ADHD, and hearing within the kindergarten room. One of the most significant aspects of my placement was experiencing how the curriculum was constantly evolving. Rather than following a fixed plan, I observed that the program developed through careful observation, listening, and responding to children's interests, questions, and ideas. Initially, my planning was based on what I thought that the children might enjoy. However, as my confidence grew within the class and I was having detailed conversations with the students, families, and staff, I began to understand the importance of allowing children's curiosity to guide the direction of their learning. Their conversations, play, and their artworks and interactions became valuable sources of information that shaped for the future experiences. Susan Stacey explains that an emergent curriculum is built through ongoing observation and reflection, where educators remain responsive to children's thinking rather than relying on the predetermined outcomes. This perspective helped me shift from asking, what activity should I plan, to asking, what are the children telling me through their play? As the program evolved, I recognized that meaningful learning occurs when children are given opportunities to revisit over time, extending their thinking through repeated experiences rather than isolated activities. This led me to the creation of a more art-based and hands-on program that I designed independently using the Centers template. The overarching focus was on you, me, and we, designed for students who were both graduating from the room and going to school, and to the other students moving from the pre-kindy room into the kindergarten room. The program focused on 3 things, designed over a 3-week period that I taught full-time. The students explored art therapy, Auslan, and exploring the acknowledgement of country. During this program, the students had a calendar in the classroom, which I used to introduce new and relevant events in May for the students, such as International Nurses Day, Outdoor Classroom Day, SES Day, and National Sorry Day. Effective communication became central to supporting children's learning throughout my placement. With the children, communication extended far beyond the verbal conversations. I learned to observe body language, their play choices, emotional expressions, and creative forms of communication. Recognize these as equally as important ways that children use to express their ideas and interests. Listening intentionally allowed me to build stronger relationships and respond more thoughtfully to their individual needs. These responsive interactions created opportunities for children to feel heard, respected, and confident in contributing to the learning environment. Communication with families was equally valuable. Families provided important insight into their children's interests, strengths, cultural backgrounds, and experiences beyond the services. These conversations allowed me to create stronger connections between home and their learning environments, supporting the continuity of the children's learning. Arthur Beecher and Docker emphasized that collaborative partnerships with families strengthen the children's learning by creating shared understandings and recognize the families as the children's first and most influential teachers. Throughout my placement, I saw how respectful communication with the families contributed to more meaningful and responsive curriculum decisions. My placement strengthened my understanding that pedagogy is far more than just delivering the planned experiences. It is about the intentional decisions that educators make every day through their relationships, environments, questioning, observation, and reflection. Deb Curtis highlights the importance of creating invitations for learning, carefully designed environments and experiences that provoke curiosity, encourage exploration, and invite children to think deeply. Rather than directing the children's learning, I focused on creating open-ended opportunities where children could investigate their materials, collaborate with peers, and develop their own ideas. These invitations encouraged children to become active participants in their own learning rather than passive recipients of invitation. Ampelio's work on the language of art further expanded my understanding of children's creativity. Pielo encourages educators to value the artistic process over the final product, recognizing art as a language through which children communicate their thinking, emotions, and their understanding of the world. These perspectives influenced me the way I presented materials and documented children's creative experiences. Instead of focusing on producing identical outcomes, I encouraged experimentation, problem-solving, and self-expression, allowing each child's ideas to emerge naturally. Throughout my placement, I became increasingly intentional in my role as a co-learner, asking open-ended questions, extending conversations, and providing time for children to visit their rethinking rather than rushing towards the predetermined outcome. I did this by following the Vygotsky pedagogical ideas of I do, we do, and you do, using social learning to help further their and my understanding. Documentation became so much more than simply recording what the children had done. Instead, I had come to see documentation as a powerful pedagogical tool that supported reflection, planning, and ongoing curriculum development. Observations, photographs, and children's work samples and reflective notes allowed me to identify patterns in the children's interests and learning. These insights informed future experiences and ensured that the curriculum remained responsive rather than repetitive. Carlson and Clark discusses that documentation as a process that makes children's learning visible, supporting both educated reflection and collaborative conversations with families and colleagues. This understanding helped me appreciate documentation as an ongoing cycle of observing, interpreting, planning, and evaluating. Documentation also created opportunities to celebrate children's voices rather than documenting only completed activities. I focused on capturing children's questions, theories, and problem-solving processes, recognizing them as equally as important as evidence of learning. By revisiting documentation regularly, I was able to evaluate the effectiveness of experiences and make informed decisions about where learning could continue to develop. Overall, this placement significantly influenced my understanding of curriculum, pedagogy, and reflective practice. I developed a greater appreciation for the evolving nature of emergent curriculum, the importance of genuine communication with children and families, and the role of intentional pedagogy in supporting meaningful learning. The theories of Pielo, Stacey, Deb Curtis, Arthur, Beecher, Dockett, and Carlson and Clark provided valuable frameworks that help me connect educational theory with everyday practice. Most importantly, I have learned that quality education, early childhood education, is built through responsive relationships, thoughtful observation, intentional documentation, and a willingness to remain curious alongside the children. These are the practices that I will continue to develop throughout my teaching career.